What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and tonight I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just made 3 really big roster moves heading into the offseason. There's been a lot of talk about who Pittsburgh is going to sign in free agency, what positions they're going to target, what kind of dead weight they're going to drop, and I was just getting ready, as we speak, to release a video about who we should let go in free agency and who we should bring in as far as our free agents, and kind of some big name players to target for cuts, because every year there's cap casualties, obviously, trying to get yourself under the salary cap with room to spare to sign some free agents. Now, we know Pittsburgh is not traditionally a big name free agent kind of team as far as paying a lot of money for guys outside of our house, but I continue to marvel at the work of Andy Weidl and Omar Khan. These guys, as GMs, are doing a good job targeting positions of interest, targeting, free agents to fill spots, trying to make more of a splash than the old regime did with Kevin Colbert, and I appreciate that. Today, we released 3 veterans who were among the highest paid guys that weren't going to be super effective and weren't playing all that well after this past season. 3 cuts today, and we'll talk about them really quickly here, but quarterback Mitch Trubisky, offensive tackle Okorafor, and punter Presley Harvin are now Steelers no longer. And when I've been talking at the end of the season about roster structure and who we're going to have for next year, if you go back and check out my offensive and defensive side-by-side breakdown of who to keep and who to cut and stuff like that, I made little comments about certain guys you want to move on from and certain positions you want to fill. And these are probably 3 of, if not the 3 most, highest players of interest that I'd be cutting coming into the season. I would want these 3 guys gone as dead weight because the money they're making in comparison to their contributions to the team and what they can still deliver on the field and being effective and being consistently playing for us, I think these are 3 very good cuts. Pittsburgh came in round about, I want to say $18 million over the salary cap. That's not the exact number, but we're around $18 million over. That's not really a gigantic problem. That's a pretty simple fix. But we just, by cutting these 3 guys, we just saved something like $16 million of that 18 or something like that. We just got ourselves almost entirely under the cap with just those 3 cuts. These 3 guys had March bonuses. If they were still on the roster next month, they would make a bonus. That's why they're being cut now. But let's quickly discuss them, kind of why they're cut and why they're good moves. Mitch Trubisky, the quarterback, first of all, he came in to kind of be the starter 2 years ago. He was signed on a 2-year deal, came in to kind of be the starter that was going to bridge the gap for Kenny Pickett. Did start the season 2 years ago, didn't play very well. Kenny came in around, week 4, week 5. Mitch didn't play that well, and then came into this season as the backup behind Kenny. When Kenny started kind of playing not too well and got injured, they brought Mitch in for a little while, and he was absolutely putrid, so they wind up replacing him with Mason Rudolph, and now the talk is going to be a quarterback competition between Kenny and Mason and somebody else. And the scuttlebutt has been that Pittsburgh is looking to bring a veteran quarterback in, namely Ryan Tannehill, after the signing of Arthur Smith, our new offensive coordinator, who used to work with Tannehill very successfully in Tennessee. So now Pittsburgh is looking to bring in a veteran quarterback, maybe Tannehill, and he wanted to get a quarterback spot open, and Mitch Trubisky was set to make $7.5 million if he was on the roster next month. So obviously you do not want your third-string quarterback, who's played very poorly over the last 2 years, to make $7.5 million. You can find nearly anybody to be a third-string quarterback at this point, and some of the veterans that are out there right now would be a lot cheaper to bring in and have more success here than Trubisky did. Again, his record as a starter here in Pittsburgh was 2-5 as a starter, started 7 games, played I think in 5 others, but was 2-5 as a starter. In those 7 games, just 8 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Maybe that's for his entire run, but 8 touchdowns, 10 picks, and just a 77.6 QBR. So not very good. His time in Pittsburgh was nowhere near as successful as his time in Chicago, which really in Chicago he only had the 1 really good year and a couple of okay ones, but not really good in Pittsburgh here at all. So this cut just makes a whole lot of sense. Obviously, we're getting Pickett back. We're looking to re-sign Mason Rudolph, who's a free agent. So right now, Pickett's the only official quarterback on the roster, but Trubisky had to go, especially after this year being benched for Rudolph and playing as bad as he did. Trubisky had to go. Another guy that had to go was Okorafor. I've been saying for 3 years now that I feel that Okorafor was one of our worst players on the entire team, was one of our worst blockers. We re-signed him 3 years ago for, I think, a $20 to $30 million contract, a 2 to 3 year deal. I did not understand that contract at all. This was going to be his third year for the signing bonus, but he was getting, over $10 million a year for the last 2 years to be here, and I just thought he was pretty terrible. The only reason why he wasn't the worst is because guys like Kendrick Green, before he got cut and are traded away, and then Dan Moore were on the roster, but Chooks was not very good. Below average in both running and passing, at times one of the worst in the league, at times just below average, but hasn't been playing very well. Got benched in favor of our first-round pick, Broderick Jones, who came in to start around week 7 or week 8, week 9, something like that, middle of the season. And since then, our running game became one of the best in the league. Exponential growth with Broderick Jones in there over Okorafor, who was constantly getting beat in the run game and getting beat for holding penalties all the time. Was set to make $11.8 million in March for the signing bonus. He was, I think, our 4th or 5th highest paid player. And you're simply not going to keep a guy like that on your roster if he's going to be on the bench. If he's going to be a backup, you traded up to draft Broderick. You're not going to keep Okorafor with all those penalties and not really producing and getting paid $11.8 million to be your 6th man at a tackle spot. So that is definitely one of the highest paid cuts we're going to make this season, and a really positive cut. Broderick Jones now being the future guy you can bring in or draft another tackle to go along with Dan Moore, or just replace Dan Moore in general. But Broderick Jones is the right move here, and Okorafor being gone saves us near $12 million next season. Finally, Presley Harvin. Presley Harvin, the punter, came in as a rookie. We drafted him as a rookie to be the best punter in the nation in college. Came in, played okay his rookie season, came back last year, same thing. Has some highs, but really has more lows. When you get him on a good day, he can really produce a little bit, but he's very inconsistent, and he was producing a lot more lows than highs. Toward the end of the year, you would get 2 to 3 bad games for every 1 good game you would get. He was just wildly inconsistent, and for a guy that was drafted and has been ballyhooed for a couple of years, he was not producing. You could find a guy on the street to produce that way. His net average was somewhere around like 42 or 43 yards per punt, when some of the league high guys were getting 53. I think overall cumulatively he was ranked like 31 or 32 out of the 33 eligible punters for stats last year. So just net punting and punt average and all that, he was among the entire lowest in the league. One of the bottom like 2 or 3 starters in the entire NFL. So for a guy you draft, that's a failure. So yeah. In short, Trubisky's gone, Chooks is gone, Presley Harvin is gone. We save ourselves like $14 to $16 million, get ourselves close to the cap already. Get rid of 2 of our biggest cap hits in the entire team this year, and they all make sense. Very good cuts, guys that weren't producing, guys that were getting paid to be on the bench. Really, really good cuts. You got to expect now the QB room, whoever we bring in for tackle, and the punting room to all be much better with free agents or rookies or whatever comes next for us. But nice money savers here. 3 very good cuts. Now you have to wonder as far as what's next. There's been talk about the other big cap hit guys that are left, like Allen Robinson. He's set to make like $11.5 million next season. He's not going to stay for that kind of money for being the 4th receiver that was kind of beat up last year and slowed down. I'd like to bring him back if we can. He's a good veteran to go along with the young receiving room and Calvin Austin and all that as a slot guy. So it's good to bring him back if we can, but he's going to have to take a major like 75 to 80% pay cut to come back for what he's producing. So he might be the next one to go. There's talks about Larry Ogunjobi. I can't see us cutting him. He came into play pretty well last year. I could see a small restructure or just bringing him back to pay that bonus and bring him back, as he was really good. There's talk about Keon O'Neal, the 3rd safety. DeMonte KZ, I think, is a high cap number next year, so one of those 2 guys could go. Probably going to be Keon O'Neal out of those 2. So those are kind of the moves that could be next for us. But yes, these 3 cuts are very positive. Again, props to Andy Weidel and Omar Khan for just doing due diligence and cutting 3 guys that were getting paid a lot to do very little here. So what do you think about these cuts? Tell me in the comments below. And who do you think could be next? Who do you want to see cut on this roster that is still here? And why do you think whoever's next will be next? Tell me in the comments below. And please like, share, and subscribe. If you like these Steeler Deep Dive videos, I'm bringing you guys who we should retain in free agency and who we should let go in free agency on our team next for the next video. Plus some more film reviews coming soon. So take care. Go Steelers. See you soon.